And now, ladies and gentlemen, Skywalker.
Thank you, Jim Davis, and thanks for tuning in to Radio Memories here on October 27th, 2021. Almost done with October, but we got a special show for you today. We've got a legend coming up here on the show. Award-winning, legendary voice actor JOE CIPRIANO will be joining us. That's right. Before he was big time, and on every sitcom and movie trailer and radio imaging, not only in this country, but other countries worldwide, he was a disc jockey. And he is going to share his radio memories. And joining us from his beautiful home in Beverly Hills, California, not only radio veteran, but national voiceover superstar, JOE CIPRIANO. JOE, it is so good to see you.
Dave, it is so great to see you and chat with you. I'm such a fan of this, and I love what you're doing. I just want to get it out there first.
Thank you.
People outside of LA might not know who Johnny Grant was. Johnny Grant was the unofficial mayor of Hollywood. He was the gatekeeper of all of the traditions and the truth, and was there for every Hollywood Walk of Fame, star, with every single big star. So he was Hollywood. He had all the stories, all the truth, and that is you, my friend. You're the mayor of Los Angeles radio and beyond.
That is quite a compliment.
You are giving us all the real facts, the truths, the stories. So great.
And it's actually you, the talent, that are giving all the stories. And it's just wonderful that people are willing to participate and offer and share their memories. And it's great to have you on
Thank
this.
you.
Now, you and I have known each other since 1980.
1980.
I knew you before you were a big superstar. I mean, you and I, when we first met, I think we looked exactly the same age. We were like the kids of KIIS 97.
Now you see my true age and the big difference in our age.
No, there's not much difference. I mean, we're still basically the same age. But I mean, at the time, we looked exactly the same age.
Yeah, it's true.
The only difference is you were married and I was still too young to be married because I was 18. I mean,
wow.
when we met, and I had just turned 18. So,
wow. That's amazing.
It's funny, but your story, I'd like to begin how it started with JOE CIPRIANO. Where does your story begin?
Waterbury, Connecticut. Grew up in a small town called Oakville. Went on a school trip in fourth grade to WTIC, AM, FM, and TV in Hartford, Connecticut at Broadcast Center. Me and my fourth grade classmates, and touring the TV studio was cool, and seeing those cameras. I still have pictures, like the old Instamatic pictures. Mm-hmm. I still have pictures of, the cameras and what that looked like. But it was when we all walked down the hall towards radio, and we stood in front of this big window watching these two guys on the air, which was WTIC-AM, and they were having a blast. And we could hear them on the speakers, in the hallway. And they were waving to us. And I noticed that all of the girls in my class were all like transfixed by these guys telling jokes and stuff. And I thought, okay, mental note, this is good. So when I turned 14, I called local DJ Jerry Wolf at WWCO in Waterbury, AM 1240, 1,000-watt day, 250 at night. At the studios, we could barely get the signal to monitor ourselves on our radio at night at 250 watts.
Yeah.
Long story short, Gopher, like same kind of stuff that you've done. So many of us have done. Mm-hmm. Finally got hired one fateful day when somebody didn't show up for a Sunday night show on the FM country. I went and I did that. Eventually transferred to the AM, which was the big top 40 in Waterbury, number one. Did nights when I was on the air in high school, junior in high school, 6 to 10. Did my homework while the songs were spinning. Upon graduation, got moved to afternoons. And that was the beginning. Then I worked also at WDRC in Hartford, weekends and fill-in. And I had an interesting story. I was never Joe Cipriano, never used Cipriano on the air. In Waterbury, I was Tom Collins, and which I found in the newspaper, the Waterbury Republican American. In the obituary, this poor guy named Thomas Collins had passed away, and I thought, good name. So I was Tom Collins. Then Charlie Parker from WDRC in Hartford called and said, "Hey, kid, our overnight," I'd gone up there for auditions. They were the big time. You would go in and do an audition with an engineer, with a board op, and you would do the format. And I had done 2 of them, and Charlie hadn't bitten, But then the overnight guy was sick. He had laryngitis, and he said, "Can you, Charlie Parker, he's talking like this, can you come up tonight? You got to go on at midnight." And, it was like 8:00 or 9:00 at night. Yeah. So I drove up there, and on the way there, he said, "Come up with another name. You can't be Tom Collins," because the signals crossed. So I always loved Dan Donovan, Dave Dearborn. I love those kind of sound of names. So on the way up there, I came up with Dave Donovan. And Charlie called me when I was on the air. Goes, "Love the name. It's good. Dave Donovan." Sounded like WDRC. So that was that. And then eventually moved to Washington, D.C. and worked for NBC there. I had sent in a tape. I'd seen an R&R that they were looking. I was like 19 or 20. They were looking for a new staff for the FM. So I sent in a tape from WWCO, and they actually called me back and said, "Hey, we like this tape. Do you have something that's more of a personality format?" So I said, "Yeah, I work at DRC in Hartford." So I sent that in. And about 3 weeks later, I get a call at CO doing my afternoon show. "Tom, this is Gordon Peele from NBC in Washington. Just want to let you know that we love your tape. You're in the running. You're in the top 3. And we may be calling you for an interview." I was like blown away. And a half hour later, I get a call from one of the receptionists up at Hartford at DRC. And she said, "Hey, Dave, this guy Gordon Peele called for you." And I went, "Oh, wow. I guess maybe he's looking for me, So I called him. I said, "Hey, Gordon, this is Dave. You called for me at Dave Donovan at DRC." He goes, "Yes, Dave. Gordon Peele here at NBC. Just want to let you know we love your tape. We've narrowed it down to 3 people, and you're one of them." And I said, "Well, yeah, I just talked to you." He goes, "No, we haven't talked to you before." I go, "Yeah, I'm Tom Collins in Waterbury." "You're Tom Collins and Dave Donovan?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you're 2 of the 3 people that we've narrowed." God. So I got the job, Dave.
They were talking to the same
guy. And
that's hilarious.
You'll know this name, Bob Henneberry.
Oh yeah, was
the consultant, and Bob and the PD were arguing over who they liked better.
I don't know. I like this Collins.
I don't know. Yeah, I like that kid, Colin.
But this Dave Donovan. I don't know. It's
And then they hired me. And they said, "We're going to change your name." And I said, "That's fine. I never used Cipriano." He goes, "No, we like Cipriano. My name is David Joseph Cipriano." They didn't know that at the time.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And they said, "We're going to call you Joe Cipriano because it sounds more ethnic and it rhymes."
It actually rhymes. Yeah. I always thought, And I always thought, had you chosen your birth name, Dave Cipriano, it didn't rhyme.
Yeah.
And it was always it was a wise decision. I always thought to use your middle name, Joe Cipriano. It was very melodic,
and it's stuck. I mean, it's been like that since that was 1975. And
it was an easy name to remember, and easy name to say.
Yeah.
And it took you, and I was I when you first arrived at K-Hits, that's the name you used.
It is. Yeah.
And so how do you arrive? So where are you before K-Hits?
I had been at NBC, and I was there for maybe about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years. They flipped the format. It was disco. That's what I went there for.
Oh, really?
Disco, yeah. And they flipped the format to 939 Uptown, and it was like a jazz thing. And the PD was like, Joe, you gotta calm down, and because I was a real up tempo jock, and I tried to do the jazz thing, and they called me and they said, "This is not working. We got to let you go." And so that was the first time I'd ever gotten fired, which was scary beyond belief. So then I actually got a job at WRQX, the ABC O&O, which was kind of like KLOS. It was that same format that Album Rock at the time in the 70s with that same logo. You may even have that logo behind you. No, I don't see it. That kind of round thing. Yeah, and I did that just temporarily until I thought I could find something. And then lo and behold, there's an announcement that they're going to flip the format to top 40. This is like 1978 or 9. And I went, oh my God, I've been trying to get out of there. Now I thought I got to stay. And so it was Al Brady Law who came in.
Oh, yeah.
As the PD. Great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Limerick, he brought with him from HDH in Boston as the newsman. Brought down Dude Walker from Boston as well. And fired the entire staff, except me and my friend Stoney Richards. You remember Stoney from
K-Hits? Yeah.
Kept us on. Stoney did late night, 10 to 2, and I did 2 to 6 in the afternoon. And that was, Dave, when I started to do voiceovers and was getting booked to do regional voiceovers. And I knew that the big gigs were in LA. So I was, sure that I needed to get to Los Angeles, but I was not going to come out here and be another starting actor. I needed a radio job. So I started looking and finally got a hit from Jim Conley at K-Hits. And I was just like thrilled, it was amazing. And I went into the PD at Q107 and I said, I got this great opportunity. I always wanted to go to LA. I got this, offer at a radio station, and I want to give you 2 weeks notice. And he said, no, you can't go. What do you mean you can't? I can't go. He goes, you signed a letter of intent to enter into a contract with us. And it's like, yeah, that was at the very beginning. This was Alan Burns, by the way, who would come in after Al Brady Law.
Okay.
Great guy, Alan, he was.
Okay.
ABC, and he said, you signed that letter. And I said, yeah, but at the time that was so we wouldn't go across the street to PGC or anything like that. And he said, yeah, well, ABC owns properties in Los Angeles, and we don't want you competing with our properties there. So we're not going to let you go. So I was devastated. I had worked months and months and months, almost a year, Dave, trying to get, an offer. Sure. And I finally got an offer at what seemed to be, at the time, a really cool station. I saw those beautiful new studios.
Well, the numbers were climbing at that point.
Yeah. And you were there.
Yeah.
Charlie Tuna in the morning.
Right.
Neil Ross in middays. Steve Scott had come in to do afternoons.
Right.
And long story short, I hired an attorney to help me get out. And after weeks of negotiating with ABC lawyers, he said, listen, there is no way I can get you out of this. He said, they have way too many lawyers. You're going to go broke. And he said, the only thing I can advise you to do is go in tomorrow, tell Alan Burns that you are so stressed that you cannot perform anymore. And that as of today, you're walking out of the station and you're going to take a leave of absence without pay. And I thought, wow, I would have never thought of that. That's not the way my parents told me you do things.
No.
And I was like, wow, that's brilliant. And I went in and I did
a little bold, because how is that going to really turn out?
I don't know. And it was November. So the November sweeps were about to start, I think that following week. He nearly fell off his chair. He said, go do your shift. I did it, before coming in for afternoons. I met him afterwards in the GM, and they were pissed. The GM was really pissed. And they said, we're going to let you go, but you have to stay through the end of sweeps. And then you can leave whenever the sweeps are over, beginning of end of November. And I did. And I got out. And I came to LA and I met Jim Conley.
So that's how you got out of your deal.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a real bluff move.
It was a gamble.
Yeah.
A gamble.
I never thought that I never even would have thought of doing that. And it worked. So I get Ann and I come to LA. Ann quit her job at Channel 7 in DC. She got a job here at KBC-TV, Channel 7.
I remember.
Yeah, news writer and producer. And I started up on KIIS first night.
I remember meeting Ann when you guys first got here. You two looked like young kids, like you shouldn't have even been married. You look like you were boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, you look so young.
We were, we had gotten married in 79, got here in December of 1980. And so we were newlyweds.
1979, I graduated high school. I was doing overnights at KIIS 97.
Here's an interesting thing. When I got here, I did the overnight shift one night. I think Daniel West was on, and I met him just to
Daniel was on before me, and I would be on from 1 to 5.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't. I had an hour. Maybe it was the midnight to 1.
Yeah, it probably was.
Case,
it probably was midnight to 1. Yeah.
I came into the studio to do it, learn that amazing board. I'd never worked on a Pacific Reporters board before. We had Neumann microphones. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was nothing like this on the East Coast. It was a showcase. Mm-hmm. And you'd sit in that studio and you look out at those big windows that would look west, and you could see sunset. It's the sun setting every night. They had told Conley, sent a cease and desist, the ABC lawyers, when they were, and don't talk to him anymore. The people back on the East Coast. And when I talked to Jim, he said, don't worry, this is just big business crap. He said, I'm going to hold a shift for you. Get out, somehow. And he waited 2 months. And I think that caused problems at KIIS too, because he was trying to hold a shift, and he's also bringing people in. I think that's when Steve Scott came in. So things were getting shifted around, which probably is one. I've heard you talk about the fact that people coming in from out of town into LA, either it works or it doesn't work, but no matter what, it doesn't work at the beginning. You have to assimilate and start to learn what the feel is of LA. And I got a little feeling from the other jocks, nothing, bad, but that they weren't really too thrilled about me coming in from the East Coast, to KIIS. But then everybody got along with everybody.
Oh yeah, after a while. But you got to remember, Greater Media had suddenly changed a group of disc jockeys that were completely from Southern California. Mm-hmm.
And great jocks too that were on the air with Bobby. Yeah.
And then as they were doing away with all of the people that Bobby had brought in, Southern California disc jockeys, these were so unfamiliar names. And I once again blame that on Greater Media, because they had no idea what they were really doing. Yeah. And the proof is in the pudding, because in the end, it was a disaster.
Yeah, I think they did good on the East Coast, like Philadelphia didn't have a big Greater Media station there that was doing very well. And they kept softening KIIS. Mm-hmm. I mean, it got so boring.
Oh, it was horrible.
You remember the cards? Jim Conley knows that I talk about this, but on the card, there used to be a step. It used to go KHTZ, KIIS 97. And that's the way we had to say.
Yeah. And then Coast comes in and just
oh boy,
wiped KHTZ off the channel, and then of course you're a survivor. I'll let you tell the story. From KHITS you go to.
I was on. Bob Moore was the GM at KHITS. When I came in, he was the general sales manager, and then he got the GM position. And I remember after being there for my first contract, I took a $30,000 pay cut to come to LA from Los Angeles because, as I heard later, they pay you in sunshine. So after a year,
and you bought that.
I did. And I also bought that the GM back then said, listen, do this for a year. We'll talk in a year. And I went back and it was Bob Moore, and Bob Moore refused to move. I was making $30,000 a year, I think. He refused to move. And I even had my attorney that I used to get out of the ABC deal talk to Bob. And Bob was not happy about that. He said, do not send an attorney to me. He was not happy. So I said, listen, Bob, I can't go on like this. I mean, I'm thankful that you guys brought me out here, but it's just not fair to be, paid what I think is, below
underpaid.
Yeah, below market, and KHITS, I guess by then had been known as kind of a low payer. Greater Media was.
Everybody in the market knew.
Oh boy. And it wasn't a union station. And had been a union guy since 75, Yeah. So I said, Bob, you know what? I can't do it as much as I want to. And we can't remember. Rick Lippincott was PD then, I think. Mm-hmm. There may have been other things behind the scenes that I didn't know about. Maybe Rick didn't want me to stay. I don't know. But I said, we came to the agreement that I was going to leave, but I could do weekends and fill-ins every once in a while I looked for work. So I went to whatever, like a daily pay, whatever that was. I can't imagine what that was. And I did that for a while, and I was sending out tapes, in LA. And one time I was on the air, I think it was Saturday night, and I got a phone call on the request line. And I said, hey, KHITS. And he said, Dave. And I thought, well, anybody who calls me Dave has got to know me from the East Coast or a family member or something. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah. I said, who's this? He said, this is Ed Mitchell from WDRC in Hartford. We used to work together. I did the fill-in shifts too when you were there. I go, oh my gosh, Ed, I haven't talked to you in years. He goes, yeah, listen, I'm coming to LA. My name's Ed Scarborough, by the way. I'm the program director for all the CBS FM hot hits stations, or at least he was doing the one in the Midwest. He said, we're coming into town.
I think they were the hottest hits.
Hottest hits.
Yes.
We're coming into town and we're going to flip KIIS-FM to hit radio. And I want you to be on the air. And I was like, he just pulled me out of, I was doing weekends, kind of like, what the heck am I going to do? How am I going to move forward? And I said, yeah. He said, there's just one thing, this JOE CIPRIANO thing. He said, I want you to go back to being Dave Donovan, the way you were at DRC. I said, hey, anything you want, Ed. Yeah, happy to do it. So we signed on the air, maybe about a month or two. Unfortunately, they announced the flip about a month or more before they did it. And Jerry Defran at KIIS-FM went, oh, really? So he went to Mike Joseph and licensed hot hits.
Right.
We couldn't use it.
Right.
So we were a hit radio and, whatever. And they just, did everything better, had more money. CBS they were terrible. They had all of these resources. We were giving away turkeys at Thanksgiving, and KIIS-FM is giving away every Thursday a Porsche with $20,000 in the glove box. And we're going, okay, what's the phrase that pays to win a turkey?
And you had the gobble gobble. I remember to say.
Oh God!
Oh God!
And it started off with Todd Parker in afternoons, and he got a raw deal because somehow CBS made a deal.
He did get a raw deal.
Yeah,
I really felt bad for Todd.
Jack Armstrong came in, and poor Todd. But he ended up doing really well. He went over to Power. And did well there.
And he sounded great at Power 106. He really did.
Yeah.
Not that he didn't sound great at KKHR, but he really did. He was displaced.
Yes.
And
unceremoniously. It was interesting what Ed pulled together. They were, Mark Hansen, I think he came in from Texas, didn't he? I
don't know, but he was great.
Great night jock.
I love Jack Armstrong. I think he's just as sweet.
What a talent. I grew up listening to him on a skip, on AM WKBW out of Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
And in Connecticut. And oh, my God. And then he actually worked in Connecticut for a while. He was at POP. He was all around New England, But what a talent. Oh, my God. And to then work with him at KKHR. Christopher Lance was in between me and Jack, in that I did 9 to noon. Chris did noon to 3.
Right.
Jack did 3 to 7 or something like that.
Right.
But I'd be there, doing production, and I would do the promos and things like that. And at KKHR. So I'd get to see Jack all the time.
Can I tell this story?
Sure.
Okay. When you guys first got the first pack, the jingle package, there was a jingle at the top of the hour. And it was a bed, the top of our bed.
Yeah.
And it went da 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 da. So we ordered the package.
Radio. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We ordered the same package at Quad 106 in Sacramento. So when we got the package, I run that, hit the tape, and it goes da 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 KWOD Sacramento.
Where's the talk up?
I called Jan. I go, where's the bed? And I said, well, it's on KKHR. Well, they must have created it. So I call you. You said, you created that.
Yeah, I looped it. Yeah.
And I said, would you mind sending me a copy? He said, no, I don't mind. Little does anybody know that we were playing the KKHR, and then I just edited from that point.
Sure, you added in the call.
KWOD. All that time in Sacramento, we were playing the KKHR ID.
My edit, yes. Yeah.
The JOE CIPRIANO edit, because it didn't come in the package.
No, and I had originally gone to Ed and said, oh, come on. This station is so hot. I mean, we had reverb on the mic. It's like, oh my God, which was actually why I was happy I was using a different name, because I was doing voiceover as well. I didn't want people to know that I was JOE CIPRIANO, who also did voiceover, screaming at the top of my lungs with reverb and, being an idiot, which was so fun.
Oh,
I said,
fun.
Ed, we gotta have a talk up. The top of the hour. We've gotta have a talk up. And he goes, no, we don't have one. So I made it and played it for him. And he went, son of a gun. That is awesome. I was
so excited by that band,
all the jocks loved it. Mark Hansen he was such a good jock, night jock. And oh my God, he had a blast with it. And then eventually the jingle company made one for us, which was actually a nicer one with an explosion right before, the logo, which was cool.
And then you walk right over to KIIS-FM.
I got fired from KKHR by Ed, which had been in the works for a while, because the head guy in radio at Black Rock back in New York, I love this, from the moment I went on the air, he would call Ed and go, I hate that 9 to noon guy. His voice is awful. And Ed said, he's a great jock. He's doing great. He goes, I don't like his voice. His voice is too high. I want him out. And it took 3 years, whatever it was, to finally convince Ed that he had to do it. He had so much pressure. He was under so much pressure. He used to, he would have back problems from the pressure. And the poor guy couldn't even sit in a chair. And we would do jock meetings with him lying on the floor, because he had to be like on a board. So his spine was in an alignment. It was all from pressure. So I got let go. And when Ed told me I still had a few shifts to do, I actually got to do my last shift. And I called Jerry DeFran over at KIIS because I had talked to him on and off and he knew me. And I said, Jerry, they're letting me go. Do you have anything for me? He goes, yep, come on over. You're going to do nights on the AM, 10 to 2 at night. So I got a full-time job out of it, literally went off the air at KKHR on Sunday and did Monday night at KIIS-AM. And that was a union station, Dave, which so was KKHR.
Yeah, so was KKHR.
It was good money, as you know, because then we were reunited.
We're reunited again.
Yes.
And one of the funniest things is, and I don't know if you recall this, but they would have you and I don't know why they picked us, fill in for Commander Chuck Street.
Yes.
And you would generally do D's in the morning, and I would do afternoons. And I always remember Bruce Vidal would refer to me as, and in for Commander Chuck Street, it's Captain Skywalker up in Yellow Thunder. And I'm in the next room on the telephone.
Yes, we used to do it. Well, we used to do it. Did you ever do it in the helicopter?
Never.
We used to go. We had a fill-in pilot named Dandy Don from Redondo Danny, we used to call him. And I used to do both D's and afternoon when Big Ron was there. It didn't make sense to me. I had to drive to Long Beach from Pacific Palisades to be there at 5:40 in the morning to get up for the first report. And I said, you've got a helicopter, for God's sakes. Come and get me in Santa Monica. And they said, no, we don't, that's just a little bit too much extra fuel to be able to do that. And I was like, and then I started to have kind of nightmares of getting into helicopter crashes. And I just finally said, I can't do this anymore. I had done it for maybe a year or whatever it was, a number of times. I said, I can't do it anymore. And they said, oh, okay, you could do it on the phone. Plus, Yellow Thunder wasn't a jet copter or anything.
No,
like that.
it was a little dinky thing.
We tried to go to Simi Valley to see something on the 118. And while we're chugging out there, Channel 7 would go,
yeah,
and we're still going, and they've already done the report and they're going back.
Because I recall they said, we're going to send you out in Yellow Thunder. And I said, no, I'm not going to go in a helicopter.
I thought it was cool for a long time because I had gone up with Chuck, and I thought it was fun. And I went for a pilot's license for fixed wing back when I was in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I'll go up in a plane.
Soloed and all of that. Yeah. It was
not
always
a
amazing.
helicopter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all of that for me was part of, I did 10 to 2 at KIIS-AM. Then I did it for about a year, and then it comes across the wire. The FCC has ruled that major market radio stations can now simulcast 100% of the time, putting their FM signal on the AM. And I knew as soon as that came across the wire that we were all fired. And that last night on the air, I threw a party. I got on the air at 10 and I flipped the transmitter from nighttime pattern to daytime. So we were kicking ass. We were just out there. Suddenly we're getting calls. People are hearing us.
Yeah. Finally, they can hear the signal.
And we had Bruce Vidal came in. I had all these microphones set up. Ron Shapiro, our production director, set it all up. Mm-hmm. He recorded the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Larry Morgan was in there. Mm-hmm. Benny Martinez was in there. Mm-hmm. Tom Murphy was in there. And we just partied.
The world famous Tom Murphy. I love that guy.
Tom Murphy.
Yeah.
Who was
I had worked with him at KGIL years before.
He was a big star in like Detroit and Chicago. I mean, he was
Seattle and oh my God. Star. And he had worked with the real Don Steele when he was Tiger Tom Murphy way back.
Tiger Tom Murphy. So, we had this blowout party. We ordered pizzas and we were playing any song we wanted to play, putting people on the air. And then finally we said, okay, the FM's going to take over. And I played all of the jock jingles in a row of the entire staff. Dun, 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 JOE CIPRIANO, KIIS-AM, dun, 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 Skywalker, KIIS, just
everyone in a row.
Yeah. And then I let some dead air go by. and then I flipped the switch, for the FM to come in, and that was it. That was the end of KIIS-AM. And so then I was just, you're talking about Sunday mornings. D-Fran says, Joe, the only thing I got for you on the FM is 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. Sunday mornings. And you'll jock from 3 to 7 and then run Rick D's weekly top 40. And I did that. And then D-Fran left and Steve Rivers came in.
Mm-hmm.
I think Steve was always very nice to me. He gave me production shifts during the day to voice promos, produce promos, some commercials, whatever.
Read spots.
He built a 6-day week for me,
He was so cool.
It was amazing. So one of the things I did weekends and fill in, Big Ron, this is summer of 1988, is going on vacation. And Rivers said, okay, you're going to do 3 to 6 this week. And I said, cool. And I was on the air filling in from Big Ron. And it just so happened, it was 1988, this new Fox television network had just come on the air. And the head of on-air marketing was in his car driving from Hollywood to Simi Valley, afternoon drive. So he's stuck in traffic. It's going to be probably a 2-hour drive. And so the only companion in the car was me and KIIS-FM. And he is thinking, we got to come up with a voice.
And KIIS-FM had a 12 share.
Yes. And he's going over a problem. He's got to find a new voice for the network, for Fox Network. They had tried Mark Elliott, taken him from CBS. He wasn't
old CBS voice.
He was too cool, just too good, professional. And I was more of, rough edges. And he said,
well, you were more of the young network.
Yeah. That was a big change in voices at that time. Nobody had really had a young voice. The youngest voice was Mark Elliott. And everybody else was Ernie Anderson and Danny Dark and all these huge voices. Right. And I've gotten so many emails and calls from people saying, thank God you got hired at Fox at that time. It allowed the rest of us to then come into promo with normal conversational voices, young voices.
I thought it was a great strategic move on Fox's part because they were the young network and they brought in such a vibrant young sound to the network and everything that you were promoting, from the Simpsons,
Married with Children,
all
these.
I remember kidding you at the time, and I used to call you because you were having me fill in for you on your Japan show.
That's right.
I would
go
to
Express.
I would go to your home in Pacific Palisades.
Yes,
you had your studio there, and I would always kid you, and I would say, Joe, what's on Fox tonight? Because
Sunday, it's an all new Simpsons.
Yeah. Right. And because I loved it. I loved hearing you because I was watching Fox. I loved Married with Children. I thought it was an excellent new show. And I was young in those days and it appealed to me. Loved The Simpsons. So I was one of the new Fox viewers.
Yeah.
So I was hearing you all the time.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Almost 20 years I did, was the sole comedy voice, for the network.
Oh, yeah.
An amazing gig. And then
you showed up on CBS.
CBS, I did the same thing. And starting in 97, then I was on Fox and CBS at the same time.
At the same time.
For at least 10 years overlap. And then Fox kind of went away because they got tired of me being on CBS, but I had done my 20 years there, which, boy, if you in promo, that's forever. If you can last that long.
Forever.
Like Townsend Coleman, he lasted at NBC for about 15 years, and Danny Dark lasted there 15 years. That's
not even
past
Casey.
15 years is Casey. Yeah.
Not even Casey Kasem lasted that long at NBC.
Yeah.
Remember when he was the voice of NBC?
Yeah, he was the voice of everything. He did dramas, comedies, reality. Well, there's no reality, but movies, whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I've always said I owe so much to radio. radio supported my dreams of getting into voiceover. Radio was always my partner. I would do full-time radio. I never trusted, leaving radio to do voiceover full-time. And throughout my whole career, radio was there supporting me. And it was very, very fortunate. And then radio happens to be at KIIS-FM, brought me the job that was the pinnacle, of anything I could have done in voiceover. So radio is just so important. And I love it so much, which is why I still do imaging. I love doing imaging, for radio stations all over the US and Canada, It's still fun.
It's still in your blood.
Yeah.
And even though you're now on such a different level, you're a national star. You're a national voice. You're heard worldwide. And radio is far in your rearview mirror. But it all began. Your roots are in radio.
And it's what prepared me for doing promos, because each individual, we're the last thing to go into a promo. The promo is cut. The music is in. The sound on tape is in there. You get the script and you have what your lines are and then what the sound on tape is. So you're talking up posts. It's like talking up an intro of a song. It goes beep, beep, beep. Yeah. And then you say, Sunday on CBS, line comes in. Dave Schuyler is got a problem. Next line comes in. So you're just talking in and out and you're hitting posts. And radio is like the perfect
training.
Yeah. It was my master's degree.
Yeah. And you do it so well.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're an amazing talent.
Oh, Dave.
Yeah, no, it's true. And everybody speaks so highly. You are an incredible talent, and you have done so much for those of us who have known you in your radio days. For those of you who don't and just know you as a voiceover guy that don't know your history, I hope this was a shining light to see what can be accomplished. And I want to thank you so much, because I know you're a busy guy, and I was surprised that you accepted the invitation, although we've known each other for a long time. I know
absolutely.
I know your days are extremely busy, but thank you so much for taking the time to be on Radio Memories.
I'm such a fan, Dave. I love this. I love what you're doing.
I thank you for that. And I thank you for those kind words. And if you do get a chance, which I know probably not, but if you do get a chance, you're always welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
And anything you'd like to share, please, you always have a home here.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
I would like to thank the incredible,
absolutely,
JOE CIPRIANO for sharing his radio memories. Joe, take care of yourself.
Be well, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe, for finding time in your busy schedule to visit with us on Radio Memories. And I hope you find time to come back, because I really would like to talk to you about your book, Living on Air, Adventures in Broadcasting, available everywhere, including Amazon, and a perfect holiday gift. This is a great read and available on audio, too. Living on Air, Adventures in Broadcasting by JOE CIPRIANO with Ann Cipriano, his beautiful wife. Get it today, because you're going to love it. Coming up next week, boy, we'll talk about back-to-back superstars, the heavy hitters. We've got award-winning, legendary radio superstar, Broadway Bill Lee, will be here with me on Radio Memories. That's coming up. That's right. Broadway Bill Lee, next Wednesday, here to share his radio memories.
Check out past interviews on the Radio Memories YouTube channel and on Spotify. Click the links. This is Maggie McKay for Radio Memories, a Dave Schuyler production.